HR.Giger and the Alien franchise, a dark symbiosis. The early years, Giger's dark vision. Hans-Rudi Giger, born in Chur, Switzerland in 1940, grew up in a conservative, deeply religious environment, which profoundly influenced his later works. Giger's fascination with the macabre and surreal began early in life, nurtured by his exposure to works by Salvador Dalí and Jean Cocteau. His formal education in industrial design at the School of Applied Arts in Zurich further honed his artistic skills, blending a mechanical precision with deeply unsettling organic forms. His work, which he called Biomechanical, fused flesh with machinery, creating eerie, nightmarish landscapes that explore themes of birth, death, and eroticism. Giger's art was deeply influenced by his own personal demons. He suffered from night terrors, which he translated into his artwork, channeling his fears into images that were as beautiful as they were horrifying. His fascination with the darker aspects of existence, including death and sexuality, became central themes in his work, often exploring the fine line between life and death, creation and destruction. His personal beliefs were reflected in his art, particularly his ambivalence toward traditional religion and authority, which he viewed as repressive. Entry into Alien, the birth of a monster. Giger's entry into the Alien franchise began when director Ridley Scott discovered his work in the book Necronomicon in 1977, a collection of Giger's nightmarish surreal paintings. Scott was immediately struck by Giger's unique style, which perfectly captured the otherworldly and terrifying nature he envisioned for Alien. At the time, the concept for the creature had not yet been finalized, but Scott knew that Giger's biomechanical designs were exactly what the film needed to stand out from traditional monster movies. Giger was initially brought on to design the alien creature, known as the Xenomorph, but his involvement quickly expanded to include the entire alien world, particularly the derelict spaceship and the space jockey, a mysterious and colossal figure found within it. Giger's original designs were so compelling that Scott insisted on their faithful realization in the film, despite the challenges they posed to the special effects team. Controversy and conflict. Giger's vision under fire. Giger's involvement in Alien was not without controversy. The biomechanical eroticism of his designs, with their overtly sexual undertones, caused discomfort among some of the crew and producers. The Xenomorph's head, which Giger designed to resemble a phallus, was particularly contentious, embodying the film's themes of sexual violation and fear of reproduction. Giger's work often pushed the boundaries of what was considered acceptable in mainstream cinema, leading to tensions between his artistic vision and the more conservative elements of the production team. Despite these challenges, Giger's designs were brought to life with astonishing accuracy, thanks to his close collaboration with special effect artists like Carlo Rambaldi and the legendary Stan Winston. The final creature, with its sleek biomechanical body and terrifyingly organic features, became one of the most iconic monsters in film history. Giger's Alien was not just a monster. It was a living nightmare, a creature that tapped into the deep-seated fears of sexuality, reproduction, and death. Legacy and return. Giger's influence on the franchise. The success of Alien cemented Giger's place in cinematic history, but his involvement with the franchise was marked by both triumph and frustration. Despite his significant contribution to the origin film, Giger was not initially invited to work on the sequel, Aliens 1996, directed by James Cameron. Cameron's vision was more action-oriented and less focused on the surreal horror that Giger had brought to the first film. While the sequel was a massive success, many fans felt that the Xenomorphs in Aliens lacked the haunting, otherworldly quality of Giger's original design. Giger was eventually brought back for Alien 3 in 1992, but his experience was far from positive. He designed a new version of the alien known as the Runner, or Dog Alien, which was more streamlined and had a quadrupedal movement. However, Giger was dissatisfied with how his designs were implemented, feeling that his work had been altered without his approval and that he had been given insufficient credit for his contributions. This led to a rift between Giger and the film's producers, one that would never fully heal. Giger's involvement with the Alien franchise effectively ended with Alien 3, but his influence on the series and on sci-fi and horror films more broadly remains profound. His work set a new standard for creature design, blending surrealism, eroticism, and horror in ways that had never been seen before. The Xenomorph became a cultural icon, and Giger's aesthetic, marked by its intricate detail and nightmarish beauty, became synonymous with the franchise. Artistic and cultural legacy. Beyond Alien, Giger's impact on art and culture is immense. His work transcends the boundaries of conventional art, blending surrealism, fantasy, and horror into a unique style that is instantly recognizable. Giger's art has been exhibited in galleries around the world, and his designs have influenced countless artists, filmmakers, and designers. His work resonates not only because of its technical mastery, but also because of its exploration of deep, often uncomfortable themes: birth, death, sex, and the alienation of the human condition. Giger's art, particularly his exploration of the biomechanical, challenged the way people thought about the relationship between technology and the body, life and death. His visions were not just of monsters but of the future, one where the boundaries between human and machine, organic and synthetic, are blurred beyond recognition. In this way, Giger's work remains as relevant today as it was when he first created it, reflecting anxieties that are more present now than ever. Personal life and philosophy. Giger's personal life was as complex and dark as his artwork. He struggled with depression and anxiety throughout his life, and his art often served as a cathartic outlet for his inner turmoil. His relationships were also marked by intensity and tragedy, including the death of his partner Lee Tobler, who took her own life in 1975. Her death profoundly affected Giger, and themes of loss and mourning became even more pronounced in his work. Giger's view on religion and authority were also deeply skeptical, shaped by his upbringing in a conservative Catholic environment. He rejected traditional religious beliefs, viewing them as repressive and hypocritical, and instead embraced a more existential philosophy, one that saw death as inevitable, integral part of life. This outlook permeated his work, which often dealt with the themes of mortality and the futility of trying to escape it. Conclusion: a lasting impact. HR.Giger's contributions to the Alien franchise and to the world of art and film are immeasurable. His designs for Alien revolutionized creature design, creating a new visual language for horror that continues to influence filmmakers to this day. Giger's work pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable in both art and cinema, challenging audiences to confront their deepest fears and anxieties. His legacy is one of profound creativity and unflinching exploration of the darker aspects of the human psyche. As long as there are films that seek to terrify and unsettle, Giger's influence will be felt, his nightmarish visions continuing to haunt the collective imagination.